guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ella, and today's video is going to be on my horse Beachy and basically what he went through up until now. I know I mentioned in my first video and possibly in the other ones that he's just been brought back into work. So I bought Beachy. He was my first horse that I ever bought on the 8th of August. I have a little notepad down here with the dates on it because I couldn't remember them. Yes, I bought him on the 8th of August. He was absolutely incredible, such a cute, quiet horse. He went to an agistment and was there up until October, so basically 2 months. I got him Hendra vaccinated, strangle vaccinated, and tetanus vaccinated, and I believe those are a few contributing factors to what happened. We then moved house from agistment to property, and that was incredible. So we did that in October, and then that was like the start of October, maybe the 1st or the 2nd, and then by the 6th of October he got really sick. So it was really rainy, and he was all rugged up in his rain sheet. I'll pop a little photo here. He was laying down. That's why I went outside and took the photo, because I'd never seen my brand new horse lay down before. I was so excited. I thought maybe he was just enjoying the rain, enjoying the cool mud. I went out a second time and he was still laying down in a different spot, but I was like, this is a little bit strange. Mentioned it to a few people, saying, I mentioned it to the family, saying I didn't think he was well, and like, no, he's fine, don't be stressed, you're just worried, because I don't normally have a horse at home. And then I went out a third time and he was still laying down. I was like, no, there is something wrong here, we need to do something about this. So I took his temperature, and it was 39.9, and I was like, okay, there's something wrong, maybe my thermometer's broken. So I ran down to the shops, got a Woolworths like 2 minutes down the road, and I brought a new thermometer, checked it again, it had gone up to 40, and I was like, oh, he's sick, something's wrong. So I gave my vet a call. It was a Saturday, so he didn't want to come out and charge me the weekend call out fee. So he said give him some Butte, because he was fine, everything else was fine. His breath was a little shallow. Other than that, he was okay. He was eating, he was still walking around, still drinking. It was just a normal horse besides his temperature. So we gave him 10 mils of Butte, and his temperature and vitals I checked every 2 hours were completely fine. They were fine up until 9 o'clock that night, or the next night. He'd gone up to 40. So this happened, we gave him more Butte again, and left it Sunday, and then by Monday night it had happened again. He'd spiked again, so I gave him more Butte, and my vet came out on the Tuesday. So he did a few tests on him, took some bloods, and finally did an ultrasound. And the ultrasound, he discovered that he had fluid in his lungs, which basically meant he had pleural pneumonia. So he was diagnosed with pleural pneumonia. The bloods came back that he had a chronic condition. So this was something that had manifested in his system and his body had been dealing with for a long time. It wasn't just something that had came up over the past 3 days. What I believe has happened is because I got him vaccinated with those, the vaccines, which are extremely common vaccines and are normally completely safe, along with being moved, one from when I brought him and then to our new property. New feeds, was being brought into work, his body was just overstimulated and got sick. So no fault to absolutely anyone. Because this was such a chronic case and his body was really struggling to fight it, he got put onto penicillin. So he was on penicillin twice a day, 30 mils each time, so I did morning and night, and he was on that for 2 weeks. Now, so he got sick on the 6th, and I think the vet came out on the 9th, and then on the 20th was when it went south, basically. So I came home from work that night, and it was around 7 o'clock, and everyone wanted me to have my dinner first, and I really needed to pee, but I just wanted to get his injection over and done with and then come inside so I could relax. So Kim came out with me, which is Nathaniel, my boyfriend's mother, and she came out to hold him for me. He's normally, he was so good at being injected. He wouldn't even blink an eyelid, wouldn't react at all. But the past 2 days he had been a little bit fidgety. We were actually just about to go to 1 injection a day. and this was going to be one of the last ones he had it twice daily, or maybe it was. Maybe we'd just gone to once a day. Maybe something like that. But anyways, so I injected him, and with penicillin they add a drug called procaine to it, which is basically a local anesthetic, because the penicillin is such a hard drug. It can really hurt the horses, so they add the procaine as an anesthetic to kind of like ease it. And if that procaine is mixed in with your blood, you can get a really, really bad reaction. They essentially go into like a psychotic state. My vet explained it to me as like us injecting cocaine into our eyes. They dissociate. They have no idea what they're doing. Some horses will drop dead. Their bodies just cannot handle it and they will die. Other horses, like Beachy, will run around crazy. So I injected him. He had flinched a bit, so I withdrew 4 to 5 times. No blood at all. Recapped my needle. No blood. Thought I was all fine. Kim fed him a carrot. He picked up the carrot but didn't chew. His eyes just like glazed over, and started pulling back, and there was absolutely nothing we could have done. We ran to a tree, thank God, because it was pitch black, and you could just hear his hooves running back and forth and back and forth. And we had plain wire fencing, and all of a sudden you just hear the fencing crash to the ground, and then you hear him running, and then running, and then nothing. So I ran out the back, saw he destroyed one fence. So the paddock he was in was basically at the front of our Tenaga property. He destroyed that fence, went through another paddock, and that fence was fine, so I'm assuming he's jumped it. Gone all the way down the back of our property, luckily missed our dam, went through our boundary paddock, our boundary fence with the property behind us, up the side of their property, then hooked a right, kind of jumped, kind of went through their fence because he only took the top wire off, and then they had their gate open, and he went straight down their driveway and onto the road. When he got to the road, he turned left, which we later discovered, and we found a lead rope in the middle of the road. He had then turned down another street and then into a property and then into another property, which is where we found him. But this all happened at 7 o'clock at night, and we didn't end up finding him until around 2 or 3 a.m. It was probably one of the most horrific things I have ever done in my life, and I don't ever want to do it again or ever have to put someone through that, because I cannot explain the feeling I felt knowing that I had put a death wish on my horse, and I know there was something I could have done. I did everything medically correct that I could have, but he still had the reaction. I remember walking through the property behind us and calling my vet, telling him what had happened, and he told me I need to prepare myself because you're either going to find your horse severely injured or you're going to find him dead. So we walked, and I had so many friends come out and help me, and I cannot thank you enough. There was probably around 30, maybe more people that had come out, and maybe half of those people I'd never even met. There were just people from Facebook, people from Instagram, people from the neighborhood that just came out to help try and find my horse. And I cannot thank you enough, because you actually, I couldn't have done it without you. I didn't know the area, I didn't know where he'd gone. There's a railway without a fence line. There's so many properties. It was dark. It was like we were grasping at straws, no idea where to go. It got to the end of the night and I was lost. I was going to give up. I didn't know what else we could do. And the amazing Tamari, her mum Shelley, my friend Sarah, they decided, they said that they're going to keep looking. So I stayed because I had people there with me. And Sarah came up with the amazing idea that if he is running 1,000,000 miles an hour with his hoofs dragging on the floor with shoes on, he's going to be leaving a mark. So we followed tiny specks of white dust on the road. And that's where we found he had turned one of the roads, because there was a hoof mark in the bitumen. That's how fast he was going. And then it was really lucky the grass was really dewy at that time of night, so there were hoof prints in the grass that we found that followed into a property. And then we found another fence that he had jumped, and he was just standing in a paddock with 3 other horses. He was shaken up. He had cuts all over his legs, a pretty nasty one on his back hoof. He had a hematoma on his chest, and quite a few scratches over his eyes. But I mean, relatively speaking, there were no organs hanging out. Like there was, he was walking fine. He wasn't lame. It was incredible. It was actually incredible that he was still alive. We walked him back to my house, which was probably around a 40-minute walk in the middle of the night, it was a lot. And we took him back to Tamari's house so he could have a sleep, and it was really, really hard watching him trying to roll, but he was too sore. He was too sore to go down, and it was one of those moments where I almost, like, I shut off. I felt like I had just, I mean, it was my fault. I know there was nothing I could have done, but it was still my fault. I honestly cannot wish this on anyone, and if you guys have any questions about penicillin or about what happened, please do let me know. But yeah, so that happened on the 20th of October. He was then obviously put on rest for around 5 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks. For a while, a very, very long time, he did nothing in the paddock. I took him for walks. My amazing friend Sarah Weiss gave me her Equisage and her ice boots. So he wore those every day for 2 weeks, and then I was slowly allowed to bring him back into lunging, and then it wasn't until the end of November that I finally had my first ride back on him. It was, from him being sick, it was a total of 8 weeks off, so it was really, really fun. I can put in a little clip after this of me riding. He was actually surprisingly really, really quiet. I thought, because he's only a 5-year-old off the track thoroughbred who just had 8 weeks sitting in a paddock, I thought he would have been insane, but he was beautiful. He's such an incredible horse, and I can't thank everyone enough for everything that you did for me during that time, whether it was family or you were there to help try and find him, or you just sent me a nice message about what was going on. I really, really, really appreciate it, because it was rough. It was really, really rough, and I couldn't have got through it if it wasn't for you guys. So yeah, just a huge thank you to everyone for all the support. And if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned during this, or if I didn't explain anything well enough, it's a bit of a hard topic for me to talk about, and I struggled trying to film this. But yeah, just let me know. I'll enter some photos after this of his injuries. They're actually relatively superficial, and you'll see there was nothing major, but yeah. Oh well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, like I said, have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm happy to answer anything you want to know about, and I hope you guys have a lovely day and a Merry Christmas. Bye.